Today we'll be taking a look at the FPX Series Capacitive displays by Flexematic and the Flexematic Unified Setup software. Here at the Flexematic website, you'll see you've got a bunch of capacitive displays. It seems to be the ones that have X at the end that program with Flexematic Unified, and the ones with C at the end is Flexematic Studio. So we're going to go to the FP716X. That's what I have today. That is a 15.6 inch unit with 1080 resolution. You can just click the download software link here, and as usual, Flexematic makes this very simple. The setup software is right here for the download. Now to take a look at the hardware I have here today, this is my FP716X. It is absolutely beautiful. This webcam will not do it justice. And as far as responsiveness, I rarely see an HMI as responsive as this appears to be. This little guy, if you're curious, is it's the 104, which programs with Flexematic Studio, but it also is a beautiful capacitive display. But setting that aside, this guy on the back, it looks like it can be panel mounted. It also has the VESA mounting, and then across the back, two USB-A. There's Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2, which are two separate Ethernet ports. Here we have COM1/3, and then over here we have a 485, 422, and then the power coming in. We'll be communicating today to the FC5 here in the back of the demo box, and also the FL8 PLCs, also by Flexematic. So let's start a new project for our panel. Opening up Flexematic Unified, I'm going to do New Project. Here I see the 716. It's an HMI project. I'll call this Try00 HMI. I see I have the traditional tree view on the left-hand side. Under Connection, I will make a new channel. Should point out that their driver list is huge and includes things such as BACnet, which is a building automation protocol, right down to I see OPC UA, MQTT, plenty of Modbus options, many manufacturers, so pretty exciting here. I'm going to stick with Flexum, and I'm going to use their FL5 Modbus TCP tag based. My PLC is at 4.177. Okay, what I've done here is opened a second instance of Flexematic Unified. I don't see a way to open both the HMI and PLC project in the same instance, so I opened a second instance. This works fine. So I've got the project here for the FC5. In that project, I have some basic stuff, such as an incrementing variable at 1 second intervals, something simply hard-coded. I've got a sine wave being created, and then I've gone into the configuration and set these up to be shared as slave network addresses, so available via Modbus TCP. And then these are the addresses I could type in manually. I'm also going to go over importing all of the variables, but for now we'll just grab the first variable, the one that we know is incrementing, and I believe it's test00 at 3259. Back in the HMI programming environment, I'm going to create a new variable. We'll leave it cleverly called variable1. Under data bindings, we're going to connect it to the channel that we created, and then connect it to our register. It is a 4x address at 3259. Okay, I've moved on. I figured out, it looks like under view is where you make your pages, so I'm going to do a new page. Page 1, great name, and then we'll just confirm. So it looks like we get a blank page, and from there I'm going to add a numeric display. Now, it took me longer than I should admit to find this little button here, but it looks like instead of just assigning it to a value, you can click this little button, in which case you can attach it to a specific variable. So the first thing I'll try to do is simulate it. Found a button here for online simulation, and it works. Okay, next we'll want to deploy it, and it looks like that's primarily done over Ethernet, or at least that's how I'm going to do it. I'm told that even when you get a new unit, this little white dot will show up on the screen. which is something that you can actually click and move. So I'm just going to click it, and then there's a setup icon. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this, but it has an option for Ethernet, and that'll tell me both Ethernet 1 and Ethernet 2 configuration. I've got Ethernet 1 set up for DHCP, and I'm giving it at 4.180 through a DHCP server. So now on the software, I'm going to click on Run, Deploy, and I've got it set to 4.180. I can scan, my device shows up. Looks like I have lots of options for clearing data inside the unit, but I'm just going to try confirming now and see what happens. So it looks like my panel has changed. So it stopped on a blank screen for quite a period of time, enough to make me wonder if everything was going okay. And then it booted up saying there was no project, the transfer bar finished, and it looks like my project is loaded into that panel. I did find a zoom control here. I'm going to zoom out so I can see the whole thing. I'm going to add a background image. I'm going to pick one off my computer. It's in my temp folder. And probably don't need a keyword, confirm. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the grid. There we go. That looks way better. Okay, so I want to bring over all my variables. So here I'm in the PLC project. I've got the PLC here. I've set up my slave network addresses already. So I'm going to go to the Ethernet port, and in this case the Modbus TCP server part, and I will export those. Now I've already done this. It's right there. Back in my HMI project, and I'm going to go back to the connection that I created, where I can select Import Tag. Here I'll select that JSON file, which I kept things in Documents, Flexematic, Unified, right there. I will take them all and import. Okay, so I added some describing text, changed it to white so I could see it better, and then I went over here to Component. I'm going to drop out a trend object. Okay, this has taken me a minute, but I think I have it. First thing, I'm going to give it a background. Well, let's add a pen. So I'll add a pen here. This is going to attach to my sine wave variable. And I know that the lower limit is minus 100 and the upper limit is 100. Now, this didn't work. And what it turned out to be is under the variable itself, for the attached variables here to the PLC, I had to set a history strategy. Without history, it does not show up in the trend. So I made a strategy saying, hey, store this every 1 second. I'm saving 5 minutes worth of data. I did that for the variable answer, and I was using this other test variable. With that in place, back here to my application and my trend, we should be able to see this thing work. And work it does. Next, I wanted this to be able to accept user input. I found here that I can just change it from numeric display to numeric input. And then a momentary button seemed like a basic. So I found here if I go to the button, I can go to the interaction events, add a on press, and add an on release. In the on press event, I give it the action of setting a bit. And I'm using this to test bit. And then on the release action, I reset the bit. Same bit. And I tested that, it works. Now there's a lot of things I could try here. Just to mention a few, it looks like it offers some scripting. Looks like there are system variables to tell you things like disk utilization, CPU load, and then we have things like adding a Modbus MQTT or FTP server service, recipe management. I see there's lots of system screens, and this one here looks like a system monitor that can be added. Here's a screen showing where I could have set up the IP addresses. Peripherals such as cameras, printers, and card readers and barcode scanners, attaching to other MQTT devices, user administration. The list goes on and on. There's just too much to cover in a single video. They appear to have a solid HMI platform with capable hardware and well-designed software. I look forward to exploring specific features in more depth, hopefully covering them in future videos.